So what is the cascade? So what is inflammation in labor and preterm labor? So the first point is that, so whenever there is an infection, so that is going to stimulate the inflammation and that is going to cause increased prostaglandins. So we all know this prostaglandins are responsible for the uterine, initiating the uterine contractions, and that is going to cause the preterm labor. Another thing is that whenever there is an infection and inflammation, there is withdrawal of progesterone receptors. So there is withdrawal of progesterone receptors from the decidua. So that leads to initiation of labor. Okay. So what happens in the third? So whenever there is a maternal stress, stress always causes increase in the corticotropins, and that is going to increase the cortisol, and that will also act as an initiation of preterm labor. In fetus also what happens is that even in fetus, this stress will cause an increase in the cortisol levels, and that will also increase the COX-2, and it will also inhibit the prostaglandins dehydrogenase enzymes, thereby preventing the metabolization of prostaglandins, and this COX-2 is going to cause increase in the prostaglandins, and that will also initiate labor. So inflammation can be considered as a regulative mechanism by which the tissue responds to injurious stimuli in order to control and repair the possible damage. So inflammation is a protective mechanism. So whenever infection, whenever destruction occurs to the tissue, it serves as a protective mechanism, which the first process of repair of a tissue is going to be an inflammation. So whether arising from an extrauterine infections like pneumonia, cholecystitis, pyelonephritis, all this has been associated with preterm labor. This is because what happens, inflammation induces exaggerated immune response that will increase the production of inflammatory cytokines, which we talked earlier, elastases and matrix metalloproteinases, and all this will cause, they all are responsible for the maintaining of pregnancies, and also there will be a withdrawal of progesterone, which is a vital hormone for maintaining pregnancies. So all this, when it happens, when progesterone is withdrawn, when inflammatory cascade is activated, all this will lead to the activation of preterm labor. So bacteria are found in the fetal circulations, around 30% of incidence of intra-amniotic infections, leading to systemic inflammatory response in the fetus. Due to immaturity of multiple organ systems, these fetuses are at a risk of long-term complications, inversely correlated with the gestation age, such as cerebral palsies, respiratory gastrointestinal complications. Underlying that is not only the immaturity that is responsible for the complications, but also the inflammatory process. So this inflammatory process not only initiates the preterm labor, but in the infants it causes more complications like CP, cerebral palsies, respiratory infections, gastrointestinal complications. All this previously it was thought that is because of the immaturity, because of the preterm labor leading to immaturity of the fetus. Now it has been proved that because of the inflammation which occurs as a result of infection, that can also affect the babies, leading to complications. Microorganisms, including those of the lower genital tract, have been isolated from the amniotic fluid, suggesting the most common route of infection is always an ascending one from the vaginal flora. So bacteria linked to periodontal diseases have been detected in amniotic fluid, suggesting the possibility of hematogenous dispersion. So what are the routes by which infections can spread? One is ascending infections, and they have found the microorganisms which is present in the vagina to be present in the amniotic fluid, suggesting the most common mode of transmission is going to be an ascending infection. The second thing is that the bacteria like Fusobacterium, which has been present in the periodontal diseases, they have also been isolated in the amniotic fluid, proving that hematogenous spread can also cause infection. The third thing is preterm labor is also linked with infections which is related to the medical